Yeah, I hear you. Put your mic piece down.
Got it.
There you
All right, who are you guys? Let's introduce ourselves.
Well, I am Big Will. I am the old school enthusiast. And for you modern fans, I will piss you off and make you cry. And I don't care about it. Next.
I'm Will the Thrill, the one and only old school, new school, all the way around. You say it. Been there, done that.
All right, guys, let's jump in. Let's get our guest on board here. He's main event, Michael Mars.
Hey, gentlemen, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Hey,
Loud
Okay.
and clear.
I can barely hear you guys.
sorry about that.
Is this better?
A little bit. I'll make do. It's probably just because I'm getting old.
Aren't we all?
Yeah,
Aren't we all?
unfortunately. Keep that quiet. Kayfabe that.
Well, considering you debuted in what, 1992?
Yeah, yeah. February 18th, actually, next month, uh, will be my 32nd year. So I started training Iron Mike Sharps February 18th, 92. And back then they do school shows every 2 weeks. So I started Wednesday. I trained Wednesday, Friday, and they threw me on the school show that Saturday. And to say I had no business being in that ring in front of people is an understatement. I think I did a hip toss about 43 times. It was awful, awful.
Who did you debut against?
So Iron Mike Sharp had this partner, Tom Rumsby. He wrestled under the Executioner, just like independent stuff. He never made a name for himself. But I worked with his son, uh, Jumpin' Jack Flash. He used Tommy Thunder. But I think he was actually under a hood. I think they may have called him the Stranger or something like that. And I think it was pretty much just to, get the new guy out there, me being 17, to, beat the shit out of me in front of people. It's pretty much, I think, what they were just looking to do.
Yeah,
You also went by
gotta
Mr.
cut the teeth.
What's that?
You gotta cut your teeth somehow, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, and you definitely did at that school because like it was a boxing ring. Like it wasn't even a wrestling ring. Like it was rough. Like I remember maybe my first month of training, I took a bump the wrong way. I broke a bursa sac on my elbow. It swelled up to the size of a softball, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is for me or not. But I came back 2 days later because we trained Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Um, and I was like, I got to stick it out. I got to do it. Then Dino Santa was actually first promoter that started using me on a regular basis back in '93, and that's when he would run sometimes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes we'd have two on Saturday or two on Sunday, but he kept you pretty busy working probably 8 to 10 times a month. I guess back then that was when indie wrestling was kind of hot still. I mean, the territories were all gone, but indie wrestling was still big, at least in the Northeast. Like we would do high school gyms, 2,500 people, 3,000 people, and that was normal, you know. But yeah, it was great. Like I was loving it. I was 18, 19, having the time of my life.
With all the traveling and everything, what's one of the most things you remember that you took still with you till this day?
that I took with me from all the traveling.
Yeah.
Don't cheap out and rent a small car. There's a bunch of guys. Always get the bigger car. Like I even stick with that now. Like I have a big SUV. I have an Expedition, and just because you want to be comfortable, especially like back then. Like sometimes we were doing 6, 8, 10-hour drives. And I remember, you guys know who Ace Darling is?
Mhm.
So
Not
he
familiar.
started with me at Mike Sharp's. I think he came like a month or so later. But Dino was using us as a tag team. We're called Young Lust. We're both 18, 19. And he had this little, I think like a Celica or something like that. But we'd squeeze me, him, Nova's brother, Donnie, who was a manager. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. Rick Ratchet, Rocco Dorsey. There's so many of those guys from Sharps. We were called the Brick Click in Bricktown, New Jersey. But the car probably sat 4 people. So we'd be squeezing 6 in, and the luggage just in the trunk, tied to the top, was on somebody's lap. But I wouldn't trade those memories for the world. Like that was like the best time. I think it's one of the things I like most about the business is just the road trips, the camaraderie with the guys, the locker room stories, busting the balls. Unfortunately, it's not really like that anymore because you're not really on the road anymore. It's like you're going to have a show this Saturday, then maybe not again until the following Saturday. It's not like you're Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it is. You can get it still, but it's not. It's not as normal as it was 30 years ago.
All right. What about Mr. Motion? Extreme
Yeah.
Fahrenheit in CZW.
Yeah. Okay. So that whole Mr. Motion thing's like I told you, like I trained 2 days and they threw me on the show. I didn't have a name. Like I wasn't even thinking of a name. Like I don't belong here. So Mike Sharp just came up with that. He's like, well, you're fast, and I was probably 170 pounds soaking wet back then. And he's like, you're quick, you're fast, you're agile. I was like, Motion. Like, how about we call you Mr. Motion? I'm like, I guess it works for now. Then it kind of stuck for a few years. But yeah, me and Tyler Sims were Combat Zone tag champs, NWA New York, and Triple WA tag champs all at the same time. They actually had us ranked number 2 in a dominant dozen for NWA tag teams back in, I'm saying it was either 98 or 99.
So what was your most memorable match so far in your career?
Oh, that's hard to say. There's been a couple of them. When I was 19, we started doing TVs for WWF tapings. We do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Raw, Superstars, and then Challenge. So those matches were great. All of a sudden, you're in 15,000 seat arena or whatever, which is awesome. But I think my favorite has to be when me and Tyler, we worked with the Rock and Roll Express. And that was one of the reasons I got into the business. They were smaller guys. I was a smaller guy back then. But to work with those guys, like a dream come true. They say never meet your heroes. With those guys, that statement cannot be more untrue. Like great guys, funny. Like they were hanging out with us the whole night in the locker room, like playing pranks on other guys. Robert Gibson does this thing where he knows like joint manipulation. Like you're like, come here, give me your hand or give me your wrist or give me your arm. Like, if he ever says that to you, don't turn around and walk the other way, or just sit in a corner and wait for somebody dumb enough to be like, oh, okay, here you go. But like guy after guy, he was just dropping them to their knees. Like, oh, come here, like let me see your arm. He grabs, put him in something, and boom, down the guy would go. But
Jim Cornette actually talked about that on one of his shows. He fell for it one time.
yeah, no, it's hilarious to watch. Like you don't want to be on it, but you definitely don't want to miss it when it's happening.
And you wrestled Doink the Clown on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, that was actually my first night there. So it was Burlington, Vermont. We get to the building. Just me and Ace went on that trip, and like I always had this, like me and my buddies always had this thing, like midgets, like, you know, we definitely want to get like a midget, like in our clique. Even when we were doing like the AEC, like we talked to a couple guys with the scheduling that just never worked out. Cause we want to do that whole like grandiose, like with an entrance, like, you know, somebody juggling like bowling pins or somebody breathing fire. Then you have the, you know, the midget coming out and doing that thing. But I get there and we look at the board and it had my name and it said Doink. And I was like, oh, and I remember Ace just looked at me. He's like, you get to work with the midget. I'm like, I know. All right. But I remember we're
Who was
going over the match, and what's funny is I worked with Ray Apollo was a Doink that I
Ray
worked with.
Apollo? Okay.
And you know, we're just going over the spots, and he's looking at Dink, Tiger Jackson, and he's like, "Can you, you know, poke him in the eyes?" He's like, "Yeah, I can do it. I can do it." He's like, "Can you poke him in the eyes and not hurt him?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll do it." And he goes, "Come here." He goes, "If you poke him in the eyes, fuck you up." And then he looks at me and he's like, "If he pokes you in the eyes, tell me." I'm like, all right. It was fine though. Like, yeah, I didn't feel a thing. It was all good. I didn't want to get the little guy in trouble.
When I first saw you wrestle, you're in Liberty All Star Wrestling under Shane Taylor. Now
Yeah.
you're main event Michael Mars.
Yeah, so I never liked the motion thing. So my son's name is Shane, so I was like, all right, I'm on you, Shane. Then I was just, you know, coming up with different lads. I thought it went well together. That was back in '99, and then a few years ago, you know, Shane Taylor made it big in Ring of Honor, and you know, he's doing TV. I'm not on TV, so obviously everybody knows Shane Taylor as that. Or I'm like, all right, well, it's time to change my name again. But the weird thing about that, I think I actually told you this when we were talking a little bit the other day. So I would get every maybe 3 months, I'd get this package in the mail from Germany, and it was addressed to Shane Taylor. You know, it wasn't addressed to me. So I'd open it as it's long letters like, "Oh, I'm such a big fan of yours." And I'm like, "Really, Germany?" And like, and it's like, "Can you do me a favor, please? Like, can you please sign these pictures and send them back to me?" I included, you know, a self-addressed stamped envelope because it was back in Germany. So I pulled out the pictures, and it's all of the other Shane Taylor. I'm like, I look nothing like this guy. I'm like, I spent some time in a tanning bed, but not that much time in a tanning bed. I'm like, so I put it all back in the envelope, and I threw it out. But I said, like, every 3 or 4 months it would happen. But what creeped me out was, like, so Shane Taylor's not my real name, but how would this guy find my address? You know, here in Pennsylvania, and mail the stuff. Like, I found that kind of creepy. You know, like, just able to, you know, find my address out there and send me shit and want me to sign it and send. I'm like, I was thinking about just signing it, like, real funny than just like attaching a picture of me to it and sending it back. But I didn't want to get into a, you know, a whole back and forth with this guy that already knows my address.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher right there.
Yeah.
Especially if you didn't even have your real name.
Yeah, exactly. So Shane Taylor, if you're listening to this, if you ever see it, you got a stalker in Germany.
So you're currently ISPW?
Yeah. We got a big show in Barnegat High School next Saturday. I'm going to be working with Justin Carino again. Then the next week is Triple WA in Quakertown. We're there the last Saturday of every month. But ISPW's got a lot of big stuff coming up. We got Mick Foley with us
I saw that.
in March
Yeah, I saw
in
his promo.
Hackettstown, New Jersey, at the high school. He actually just put something up on Instagram. You can follow ISPW's page, Instagram, Facebook, but he's got the video up there. And then again in May, we're doing the 80s Con again, which Tommy Fierro does. This is his fifth one, but it's always at the Men in Sports Arena in Morristown, New Jersey. Last year, I worked with Tony Atlas there, but he had Fandango on it last year. Tony, the Powers of Pain, Scotty Too Hottie. He brings in all these big names every year for the convention. They're top notch, awesome. Then he's got a big 3-day thing that he just announced this July. I think it's 14th, 15th, 16th, whatever that Friday, Saturday, Sunday is. but 3-day convention in Atlantic City. And so far, he's announced Teddy Long and Eric Bischoff. But instead of just like a normal meet and greet, he's doing one-man shows. They're going to be doing podcasts there. So if you guys get your numbers out, maybe I can put a word in and do a live podcast, from the 3-day convention.
We're honored. We are honored that you actually took time out to.
Oh no, I'm honored that you guys actually have me on this. Being your first. I guess you don't want any ratings, but no, I appreciate it. But yeah, if I can help you guys out, I'd be more than happy to.
That is greatly appreciated, man. Like, thank you.
Absolutely, happy to do it. Definitely, no problem, man. I appreciate you guys.
It does feel like we did step into the main event.
What's that?
I said it did feel like we grabbed the main event right from the jump. So thank you very much, dude.
Absolutely. Without guys like you doing stuff like this, so many people wouldn't even hear of us. I mean, it's not like independents, they don't have TVs. Without TV, how are you really going to get your name out there? But stuff like, what you guys are doing, it really helps. And I appreciate it. I know all the boys appreciate it too.
Cool beans.
Thank you.
Cool beans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your time.
Absolutely, guys. Take care. Thanks for having me.
That was pretty cool, man. Like, seriously.
That was.
Way to go, Willie Tiny.
Bill with all the connections.
All right. So let's jump into segment 2, guys.
Okay, remind me, what was segment 2?
How long we've been watching wrestling? I personally been watching wrestling since I was pretty much in diapers. My parents, my grandmother, my granny, they all watched it. So I've been watching it sitting right in front of a box TV in my diapers since I can remember. How about you, Big Will?
Shoot, since 87, 88. About 3-4 years old. Same as you. Sitting in front of that floor TV, that looked like a piece of furniture and not a TV. Dude, watching Andre and Hogan. Then later on came the Bushwhackers. Oh, I miss the old days.
It's ironic that pretty much all of us have around that time, because in about the same thing. Like me, I wasn't on the floor. I was actually chilling right next to my grandmother, who was a big wrestling fan, who pretty much had me sit right next to her, even lying to my mom saying, "Oh yeah, he's asleep. All right, come on. Let's finish watching primetime wrestling with good old Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon." Those days, if you remember those two, they used to do the late night shows, including, the special guests coming out talking. So I was a big Hulkamaniac. I'll never forget when Earthquake crushed his chest. Sitting there as a youngin' crying my eyes out because I thought he was dead.
Did your grandmother used to punch the air too?
Yes. Yes. But it also had periods. Like, I mean, I was a wrestling fan through and through until my grandmother's death, because that was like my connection, me and her time together. And it was like poetic justice. Like, Hulk Hogan and them ended up going to WCW, and then the whole NWO started. And to see him tear up the red and yellow and going with black, it was the darkest day in wrestling for me personally. So I kind of backed away from it. Like, my hero just turned away from me. That's how I felt. Like, as a fan, like, you feel, especially being a young one, even in your teens, you can still say you're young because you still believed it. You didn't believe, like, the taboo word when it comes to this. Like, you loved the wrestlers. You knew who you got excited for that came out, that did their piece. Even when they messed up, you were still cheering for them.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when that happened, and then because I was acting kind of cold hearted and stuff like that, he's like, "You need to get back into wrestling." A good friend of mine. He's like, and he was an Undertaker fan, and I hated him because because he was an Undertaker fan, and of course his first appearance was against Hulk Hogan,
Yep.
and even though he won the belt the next night, I still was upset with the Undertaker for the longest. Um,
Undertaker was the reason like I stayed in touch with wrestling. The night he lost at WrestleMania, I remember just sitting on the couch just stunned.
with your mouth hung open.
Yup. And then I nearly cried like a baby during that documentary he did. Like when he finally announced at the end, I was man, that was a Tyson shot to the gut.
Yeah, I feel you, Big Willie. I feel you, man. And so I became a big Stone Cold fan afterwards. I mean, of course, he was the ringmaster. That gimmick. Oh Lord, that was bad. But yeah, I became a Stone Cold fan because he said the way I was acting, you're trying to act Stone Cold tough, and I was like, all right, let me see. So then I fell back in love during the Attitude Era.
So, Big Will,
Yep.
your favorite Royal Rumble winner and moments from the past Royal Rumbles.
Oof. Ah. The Undertaker was my favorite because he was my favorite. I still like watching the original, like the first three Royal Rumbles.
Wow.
Seeing the old guys doing it, it just hits different.
And honestly,
So what's that?
yeah, but honestly, you're right. That was a good golden time. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Big Will. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, it's just like I compare it to a lot of what we see today, and it's just they just made the battle royals look so much better than what we're seeing in the past 10 years.
So, who's your favorite winner?
Undertaker.
He said he was an Undertaker fan.
Will the Thrill?
Oh, this is tough, man. This is tough. Um, I'm gonna have to say, and it's kind of memorable, the 1992 Royal Rumble with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Because if I'm not mistaken, that's when he set the original record as the longest person to be in the Royal Rumble since coming in. If I'm not mistaken, and to still win it, and he won the. That's when he won when the title was up for grabs after that.
Yeah.
But as I mean, it was kind of tough because the 1999 Royal Rumble when McMahon put a hit on Stone Cold to me was just plain fun. I just thought that was ingenious, and everyone had to try to eliminate Stone Cold, and it's kind of. I mean, with McMahon winning his one and only Royal Rumble, you knew he had to get in there at least once. But the way how that story was built for that Royal Rumble was perfect for him as a fan.
Yeah.
Denied and
I agree.
disturbed.
My favorite winners and moments when Mr. Perfect came back to the 2002 Royal Rumble.
Rest in
That was
peace.
that was just amazing for that return. Also, I got Oscar winning at the 2018 Royal Rumble. Personally, I was there. I've been to all three Royal Rumbles at in Philly,
Nice.
and and um, and I gotta say when Chris Benoit won it on the 2004 Royal Rumble, it's just that raw emotion being there live, seeing grabbing Big Show's head and flip him over that top rope, and Big Show's feet hit that floor, and he went on for his journey. We won't talk anymore about him. like just in ring stuff.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. It was just the buildup was great for that too. Like you said, raw emotion. Like you felt that when he won it. Those are special moments, man. Like people don't realize.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Will to thrill.
he was the second, like, since Shawn Michaels, like, of the smaller stature guys to win the Rumble, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you
Yeah,
had. I mean, you if you want to consider Hacksaw as a smaller guy, but he was like pretty big himself.
Yeah,
Big John
Hacksaw was
Stud.
huge.
Yeah, Big John Stud, of course. Then, like you said, the Undertaker won. Hulk Hogan. I mean, he's pretty big, 6'6", 6'7". So yeah, you're right. And Shawn Michaels was a multi-time winner, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
What, he won it 3 times?
Two.
2? Okay.
so Will,
Yes.
uh,
Wait, which will?
cameos. Oh, I'm sorry. Will to thrill. So
Three
debuts
wills,
coming.
Willie.
Debuts come in. Cameos, special appearances for this Rumble.
All right. I had all right for the men's. It was tough, man, because I went with the Dudley
Just
boys
to make appearance.
just to make an appearance.
Okay.
More like they come in, do a 3D, and next thing you know, the next group comes in and eliminates them. I would see like a tag team just because to get them in there. The head shrinkers, either one of them. I would say probably Mosh just to make an appearance. So I did think outside the box for this, just because they did sign legend deals and they have been making appearances once again, especially Bubba Ray or Bully Ray, however you want to say it. Booker T again, because I knew last Royal Rumble Booker T was pretty much like they missed the spot, so they needed someone real quick to go in, and Booker T filled that spot. Luckily, he had his equipment with him, and of course, the great Pat McAfee.
All right. For me, I'm just gonna just name came to my head. James Storm, Cowboy James Storm.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know
Where'd that
why.
come from?
I don't know why. Naomi. I think Naomi might make an appearance, come back. I would like to see Big E come back, and the boss Sasha Banks.
See, this
Uh,
one's hard,
Big
man. Like,
Will.
you never know who's gonna pop up.
That's the truth. You don't, because they can grab anybody from anywhere, and especially with this forbidden door thing.
Wait a minute. How is it Moxley's contract up?
I don't.
mm,
Is it? I don't. They're
mm.
they're saying MJF's contract's up.
MJF's contract is up.
He's going to get a big payday.
Yep.
Could be one of those guys. Yeah. I think if Big E comes out, he's going to get the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah. I think so
Definitely.
too. I think so too. And I could see a small pause. You know, like when it's someone huge or big, they have
Hmm.
like a pause moment to give them their time.
Yep.
Then him just running down the ring and yeah. Um, I actually have a surprise one. I mean, not really a surprise. Like I was gonna say, like Michelle McCool, of course, because she's been doing it for the past several years. Liv Morgan, I could see making a surprising return.
Maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Or
And
you
I
know
think
who else could pop up too? Velveteen. He
I
did
don't
make
think
that
so.
apology.
I don't think so. That's a hard. No, I don't see it. Oh well.
I would
Let's move
say,
on.
but because she put her boots on picture, like she took a picture on Instagram with them, I would say AJ Lee.
That's a good one.
She
Yeah.
just posted her boot saying, "I think it's time I bring these back out." It could mean a million things.
Yeah.
And
I
especially at
know
the
she
Royal
brought
Rumble,
him.
that could be just like a one shot scene. Like you see her and then she can sit back and relax again. Then just say she did it just to come out.
Yeah. I know she said she brought her gear out for the TV show Heels to take bumps in, but I haven't heard anything about her working yet.
It'd be nice. I would love to see that.
Those two are great at keeping things under wraps. They really
Yeah.
are.
Let's move on to our final four. Just our final four predictions. I'll start off. Uh, for the women, I've got I got Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks. I did have Charlotte Flair in there, but apparently she's injured,
Yep.
and Bailey in there. But now I got to take Charlotte out because she's injured. I would have had the original four horsewomen in the final four for the women's. But let's take Charlotte out and put Nia Jax.
Nice.
For the,
Okay.
for, that's my women's final four. And then for the men, I got Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, and Jey Uso.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, go
Go
ahead,
ahead, Will
Will.
DeFrill.
Okay, Will
Uh,
the Thrill. Go ahead.
all right. For the women's, I'm gonna say, and then this is gonna be insane. Okay. Bailey. I got Liv Morgan as one of the four women in her return. And I'm not saying number 30 because I think that's going to be either Sasha Banks or Naomi. Okay. So Liv Morgan, Sasha Banks, Bailey, and I'm going to say, just to stir the pot a little bit, Becky Lynch.
Sounds good. Big Will.
Uh, so as far as the women, I'm gonna say Becky, Bailey, Asuka. Hmm, I don't even know who to name for the fourth.
Oh, I got one that I forgot to say because I only gave three.
Um.
Jade Cargill.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's her.
I
That's her
totally forgot
debut.
about her.
That is her debut. So I can see her in the four. Just in fact, I know the next question is who you're going to have win it, and I might as well just say that that's who I have winning it is her. Who can else put a big stamp in their debut, just like how they did Ronda Rousey just coming out pointing? But I think someone who showed that they're powerful, who's been training with Natalia, who's actually been praising her work ethic and who has that star power. I think she's just going to come in like a wrecking ball and just wreck shop.
Well, she was always like decent in AEW, but they did to her what they did to Goldberg. Didn't have a whole lot of training, and then they just threw her into the ring and put her in the top spot, which kind of hindered her. And then you looked at the talent she was working with, and it was like, you're not really learning anything.
Right. But I think the only reason I'm saying that is because if you think about it, she has just made appearances. She has not touched the mat. So I
Yeah.
think they've been building her up at that performance center and then taking her down to the dungeon based off her request. She actually asked to go to the dungeon so she can get more one-on-one workout. And B Fab was another one that added into the mix.
I
That
wish her well. I wish her well. Daniel Bryan already helped train her, and I just don't see it in her. She's big. She's appearance, but her wrestling skills just not too tight for me right now. Hopefully, she comes around.
Yeah, but I think that's honestly why they have not found the right moment for her to appear yet.
You know what? If she does appear, I'll put her as the fourth. Because I'm drawing a blank on a lot of names right now. It's not even funny. I can see their faces, but I can't name them if I tried. As far as the men's, it's going to come down to Drew, Cody, CM Punk. Who would be the fourth guy? And Damian Priest.
Ooh, okay.
I I I have Cody winning it, but I also have CM Punk spoiling it for Drew McIntyre, and then they're gonna go off into their own
Feud.
storyline.
Okay. I I got Bailey winning for the women's and CM Punk winning for the men.
You see,
I
I
don't
thought about
think
CM Punk, but I was like, it's too early for him.
I don't. I really don't think Cody needs to win the Rumble to finish his story. I think there's other outlets.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Willie T. Because like with this whole Rock facing Roman, and then I believe that's most likely going to happen at Elimination Chamber. So he could still make it there without winning the Rumble, just like you said. But I will say I think CM Punk will win it because I think that's part of the reason why he returned is because he wants to main event WrestleMania. And through, even
Exactly.
when he was at the top of his game, the best in the world,
And he
he
didn't do
never
it.
got that. Even when he had the greatest storyline with The Undertaker, um, he did not even come close to main event in WrestleMania.
Correct.
Well,
And he
technically,
did put
that
on a good
that that
show
Taker
against Taker, too.
match,
Is a main event.
yeah, it had it. I mean, for there was a lot of WrestleManias where one Taker went up against Orton, Batista, Edge, Punk. Those were the main events. Even though it was
Correct.
John Cena versus somebody, that was your main. Because by the time that match ended, you were exhausted. At least I was.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was entertaining. I mean,
Hmm.
whatever show Undertaker was on, even when it was just around like, oh, it's the Undertaker's time, it was worth it.
Yes, it was.
So yeah, I agree. I think CM Punk will win it just so he has like one of the nights as going against that. But my final four would throw LA Knight in there to help boost them back up into the light again. Just as one of the final four. Even though he is in this four-way battle against there, I can see those guys who don't win it take a chance in the Rumble, just like Brock Lesnar did and ended up winning the whole thing.
Big Will, did you give your prediction for your winners?
Um. Oh, and the women's, I can see Becky winning it again. As far as the men, it was Cody.
Sounds
Making
good.
Cody a two-time winner. Well, I'm surprised nobody said Gunther, even in their final four.
I know. He was final two last year. So
Yeah, and he was
I
looking
want to see.
unstoppable.
I want to see Gunther and Lesnar go at it. I will
That's my
pay the
dream
$50
match.
to see that.
I think
and
that's on a lot of people's wish list is that match.
they
And
may
Gunther wants it.
they may set it up during the Rumble this year. That's how they've been setting up Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania match in the Rumble. So we'll see.
So we see. We'll see.
Now, does Jinder Mahal enter the Rumble, or does he go into it as the champ?
Um,
It- no champion. He's not going to be champion.
I think he's going to be a patsy, is what it is. It's like
yeah,
we're
yeah.
going to give you the belt just so you can lose it here.
I would also like to see Corey Graves come back for a
You know
little
what?
run.
That would actually be a surprise return because
Oh
he is
yeah,
medically cleared to do it now.
that's what I heard for a while now.
Yep, and he's itching to get back in the ring. Even if it just to get in there, throw a couple punches, eliminate at least one person, and then get eliminated himself, it would still be worth it. You
Nice.
still got it. Dun, 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 dun.
Guys, I think we're good here. I think let's wrap this up.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up.
It's the Three Wheels of Wrestling podcast. Yes, another wrestling podcast. Have a good one, everybody. Take care. Till next time.
Ciao.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Night.